I heard this story from a friend of mine. I'm not sure if I should believe him, but I'm more wary of forests now. I'll tell it from his perspective. The last time I heard Tom's voice, it came from 3 directions at once, but 2 of them were not Tom. Jake and I made it out. Tom didn't, and I'm still not sure the 2 of us are all right. We were 18. Our diplomas still smelled like the printer. The plan was simple. One night in a tent, so we could say we'd done something that summer before college pulled us apart. Tom took his dad's black Ford. Jake brought his phone, because Jake filmed everything, even the 2 of us pumping gas. I brought a cooler of soda and a couple of beers they sold us without looking at our faces. We were driving out to the National Forest past Coldwater Creek in West Virginia. There's an old fire road out there that Tom found on some forum. Supposedly it ends at a clearing with a view of the whole valley, and nobody ever goes. The ranger booth at the entrance stood empty. The gate was up. I remember thinking it was strange, summer, and not a soul around. But it was 3 in the afternoon, the sun was blazing, and the thought left as easily as it came. The road dead-ended. After that, just a trail. Narrow, overgrown, 1 signpost with nothing written on it. We went on foot. Jake kept filming. I know how all of this sounds. Believe me, I wouldn't have believed it either, but I'll tell it exactly the way it happened, in order, because order is the only thing here you can hold on to. The first strange thing was almost funny. We'd walked maybe 40 minutes and came out on a small clearing, an oak split by lightning, a rusted sign nailed to it that said, "No entry." We pitched the tent, dropped the cooler, and kept going to find that view. Half an hour later, the trail brought us back to the same oak, the same sign, our cooler. We laughed. Got turned around, took a wrong fork, happens to everyone. Jake played back his footage and said there was somebody out there, far off between the trunks at the edge of the frame, a dark shape like a person standing with their back to us. We decided it was another hiker. Made sense. Somebody had put up that sign. Tom said the trail had to loop and that we should walk dead straight and not turn. A straight line can't bring you back in a circle, he said. We tied our jackets together in a chain to hold our heading, and we walked, watching our feet. And we came out at the oak. The sign. The cooler. A straight line had brought us back in a circle. That's when it stopped being funny. Tom pulled out his phone. The little dot just hung there, the compass turning in slow circles, unable to decide where north was. My hands went cold, and it took me a second to understand why. Then I understood. The sun. It sat exactly where it had an hour ago. The shadows hadn't moved. The forest was holding time like water in a cupped hand, and it wasn't letting us go. I only realized later that it never meant to let us go at all. Jake filmed again. The shape was closer now, not at the edge, between 2 trees, maybe 30 yards off, still facing away, still not moving. No face, nothing you could make out. At some point, it got easier to breathe. Wind moved through the tops of the trees. Real wind, the first in all that time. Light flickered between the trunks. Warm, evening light, like there was a normal road just a little further on and we'd only worked ourselves up. We laughed, a nervous, relieved laugh. Tom pointed and said that was the way out, and he walked toward the light, alone, faster than he should have. "Tom, wait, let's go together," I called. He didn't turn around. He walked toward the light like something was calling him by name, and I swear that far off, deep in the trees, I heard something like his own voice calling him forward. He took a few more steps, and he was just gone. He didn't go behind a tree. He didn't drop into a gully. The light flickered like a bulb, and there was no more Tom. Only the jacket he'd let go of, lying on the ground. Jake screamed his name. I screamed after him. We ran to the spot. Bare earth, the oak, silence. And then Tom answered. Far off, muffled from behind the trees. Guys, I'm here. We looked at each other and let out a breath. He's fine. He just walked ahead, and we didn't notice. Maybe the sun had gotten to his head. We went toward the voice, and this time the forest let us in. The trail led us inward, downhill, the oak falling away behind. We followed the voice a long time. Too long. It came closer, then further, always past the next ridge, always down, toward where the trees grew thicker and darker, and the light kept changing, not darkening, but fading, going gray, like an old photograph. But the further we went, the stranger and more frightening all of it seemed. The voice was saying the same words, every time, word for word, the same tone. Guys, I'm here. Not over here, not hurry. It didn't even call us by name. 3 words on a loop, like a skipping record. A living person doesn't call like that, or at least doesn't repeat the exact same thing. A living person gets angry that you aren't coming, yells, "Where the hell are you?" This just repeated, level, patient, and led us lower. Jake kept filming the whole walk, glancing now and then to see if anything showed up that was only visible on camera. At one point, he looked at the screen and turned it toward me without a word. The shape was right behind us, 10 paces. Still standing with its back to us, it had followed us the whole way at that same slow, even step, never once falling behind, never once showing its face. And I understood I wanted nothing in the world less than for it to turn around. The voice brought us to the edge of a shallow hollow. The ground underfoot went soft, like walking on a drum-tight trampoline. It smelled of damp, of a cellar no one had opened in years. And there, at the bottom, we found Tom. He was alive, but that was the worst of it. He was grown into the tangled roots at the bottom of the hollow, half sunk into the earth, and he couldn't move. His chest rose and fell. His eyes found us, alive, understanding everything, screaming without a single sound. And his mouth was working. Guys, I'm here! Only his lips weren't making the words. His jaw hung open, slack, and the voice came through him, out of the dark around him, like air through a reed. Something was clearly using his voice and luring us in. And then a shape rose from the far side of the hollow, the same one that never turned. It kept its back to us, and all at once I understood why. It has no face of its own at all. It has nothing to show us. I've heard of horror stories where something unknown can copy the way you look. But a familiar voice coming from an unfamiliar silhouette is every bit as horrifying. It had used Tom as bait for us. It copied his voice, but by the look of it, the most it can do is repeat the last thing that was said. Otherwise, I can't explain why only 3 words. This whole forest was bait. But now what? Jake stepped forward beside me, toward the bottom. I saw his mouth open to answer Tom, and it hit me like a live wire. I stopped him and clamped my hand over his mouth and told him to shut up. You can't go toward the voice. I'd think anyone would get that, but Jake was either being stupid or already under its control. It's not him anymore, I said. Don't answer it. Let's get out of here. And we climbed back up the slope, toward the one place this strange creature was slow. It came after us at that even step, never faster, and we started hearing the same Tom's voice from different directions, one from below, in the hollow, broken and real. The other off to the side, the same skipping phrase trying to turn us back down. I made myself stay silent, not answer. I was scared, and I didn't know whether we should have left Tom back there. I dragged Jake by the collar, and we spilled through a wall of thorn branches and fell onto the fire road. The real one, with tire ruts, an empty ranger booth 100 yards off, and the black Ford at the dead end. It was 3 in the afternoon. The sun was blazing, like we'd never left the place at all. We didn't say a word the whole way back. Jake drove, both hands locked on the wheel. The car keys were in my pocket. Tom had handed them to me back at the gas station. That, at least, was lucky for us. The police searched for 3 weeks. The dogs lost the trail at the split oak, sat down, whined, wouldn't go on. We told the truth right up to the point where it stopped sounding like the truth, and after that we lied and said we'd just lost him in the woods. I couldn't look Tom's parents in the eye. His father still drives out there on weekends and calls his son into the empty air. And I don't know how to tell him not to answer if a voice with his son's sound ever calls back from between the trees. Later, I found a notice in the local paper from 1989. 3 teenagers gone on the same road. 2 came out, and another from 1963. 4 went in, 3 came back. And a hunter from 1947. 1 went in, no one came back. The same forest, the same turn, and always 1 fewer than went in. Every time this strange it keeps a new victim for itself and waits for the next ones. That's why the booth at the entrance is empty and the gate stands up. At some point, the locals just stopped sending people out there, and they tell their kids to stay away, so that would seem to be it. I'm home, I'm safe. Almost a year has passed since that tragedy, but all this time, that shadow, or whatever it was, it's been near us. Not literally, but I realized it a month ago when Jake sent me the last video from the clearing, the one where the shape was 10 paces off. I watched it in my own kitchen, in daylight, and on the recording in the far corner of the frame at the edge of the dark trees. The shape had finally started to turn, as if toward me. I closed the laptop before I saw the face, and 3 days ago, in the morning, my little brother came to me, frightened. He asked why I'd been standing in the backyard at night, at the very edge of the trees, calling for him to come out. I told him I'd been asleep in my room. He didn't believe me. He said he'd seen me, that I'd called him from the dark, quiet, the same words over and over. I'm here, I was telling him from the dark. I'm here. Come outside. Now I'm afraid to fall asleep, not because of nightmares. I'm afraid of what my voice does when I'm not there to stop it. And I'm even more afraid that my brother will hear me again, calling him from between the trees. And this time, nothing will stop him. It seems it's attached itself to me. Thanks for staying till the end. Not everyone does. There's always another story waiting. Subscribe so it finds you first. Sleep well, if you can breathe easy.